Oh, welcome all to the SnailTrail4x4 podcast. If you like going off-roading in Toyotas, wrenching on Toyotas, camping in Toyotas, and maybe even poking a tiny bit of fun at Toyotas, and of course, hearing about how fantastic driving your Toyotas to the trails are, because that's the best way to do it, then this is the podcast for you. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tyler. Joining me once again for episode 502 of the SnailTrail4x4 podcast, Senor Jimmy Jet. Hola, senor.
Hey, how's it going?
Not bad, man.
Good.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty
Happy
good.
to hear that.
I have what do we call it? A mango pineapple Juma juice?
There you go. And I got the Mexican version.
The Mexican version. Perfect. Episode 502. We got some fun stuff on the docket for you guys today.
Yeah.
Let's see. What all do we got before we get to that?
Well, before we get to the fun main topic, campfire discussion, we have a set of Yokohama tires that we're going to give away.
We do?
Yes.
And so we have the Yokohama tires.
Yep.
And 2 Onyx Elite Premium Elite memberships.
I always have to read it. Elite membership.
Yeah, I had to look up real quick and see what it was. So those are going to be done at what numbers?
Yeah. So 650, 700, and 750.
You're such a good Rain Man. 650 reviews. We're coming up really soon here. We might be over. I'm not sure. We're not going to check it today. For reviews over on Apple Podcast. So 650 reviews. We're doing a swag pack and an Onyx Elite membership. Once we get to 700 reviews, we'll be doing a giveaway from everybody who's submitted a review for the same thing, a swag pack and an Onyx Elite membership. And then at 750, we're doing a full set of Yokohama tires, 4 tires, pretty much anything you want, smaller than 20-inch rims and DOT approved compounds.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much all their off-roading stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, some really cool stuff coming up in the giveaways for reviews, our bribery giveaways, and get a review in.
Yeah, all you have to do is go onto Apple Podcast, iTunes Podcast, Apple Music,
iTunes Music,
iTunes, Apple, Macintosh, STEM, Worm, review.
There you go.
Thing.
Yeah.
Just go over there, leave a review. If you can figure out a way to leave more than one review, you can do that as well. That'll get you multiple entries.
Yep.
And then we'll do a random drawing.
Cool.
And
I like
you
it.
Might win.
Yeah, we've already had some winners before for the swag packs and some other fun things. So we're going to keep it going. We still got 3 more winners to pick once we get to those levels. So we got those going on. The giveaway for the month, our monthly giveaway is... Did you do that? Is me? Hey,
is MORRFlate.
MORRFlate. Yeah, that's for we're using
cheers.
Those cheers, man. We're doing an air hub. One of the new air hubs from MORRFlate. And we actually, depending on how long this recording goes, one might show up while we're recording. I can show you guys on the camera. It's a really cool product. Allows you to air up and air down automatically, so that you can set a pressure and then the system does it all for you. Inflation or deflation.
Did you say that on purpose?
Yeah.
Automagically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody they spell corrected me while I was writing up some marketing materials.
Yeah.
And they put in automatic. I was like, no. That should be automatic. You messed that up. They're like, well, you put Autom Magic. And I was like, yeah, I know. And they're like, that's not a word. I was like, yes, it is.
It is now.
It is. And so I went and I Googled it and took a screenshot of the Google definition that pops up on Google, sent it to them of what Autom Magic is.
Oh, it's a real word?
It is. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know if it's technically in Webster's dictionary, but
it's on Urban.
It's on at least Urban, and there are definitions of it, and they all seem to be the same definition if you look up online.
And what is that definition?
It's the ability for something to do something so automatically and in a way that you don't know how it's happening, that it just happens.
It's magic.
So it's like magic. So it's Autom Magic.
Automagically.
Yep. Automagically.
That's what the Air Hub is.
Yep.
It's just an automatically. I can't say it. It sounds wrong to even say it. Automagically
Sets your pressures.
Device. I don't know.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's actually what we are using for the marketing materials. It's the MORRFlate Air Hub, Autom Magic digital air control. So
I think that's what the title of this podcast might be.
Oh, really?
This episode.
The SnailTrail4x4 Autom Magic podcast.
Oh, that's just this episode.
Oh, okay.
Automatically
happens.
Automatically off-roads.
That'd be
something.
Fun. So yeah, Air Hub, one Air Hub for somebody, $250 retail value. Pre-orders are open right now and they are no charge. So that means you just go sign up for your pre-order. You'll put in your credit card information, but we don't charge anything until the order ships.
Got it.
So you're not going to have to sit there accruing interest on your credit card for 2 months until product's ready to ship. And that also means if at any point you kind of change your mind along the way, as we put out more content of how it actually works and showing it working, you're like, I really don't want one. You can go back and just cancel your order and you never paid anything. So it's a zero risk pre-order. All we're doing is creating a line.
Nice.
So
hopefully the line doesn't get too long that the first batch is less than the orders.
We'll see.
Are you going to put a cap on it?
We ordered 1,000 units for the initial production.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We've already sold over 100.
Nice.
And the pre-orders have been open since Monday and today is Wednesday. So in less than 48 hours, we've sold 10% of the production already.
All right.
But with that being said, I've known that this is going to be a big product and we're going to have to probably do a second and third productions very quickly afterwards. Probably put those in before we even receive the first production, like we had to do with PSI Pro.
Yep.
And so I've been preparing for it. I just didn't know. I wanted to get a gauge of interest from the pre-orders first. So there is going to be a lot more of these coming. I just haven't figured out how much. Do I want to order just another 1,000? Do I want to order 10,000?
Sure.
Right. So that's kind of where I'm trying to gauge interest right now.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Super cool stuff. Which has been a really fun journey. I've learned a lot from, I don't want to say mistakes, but just not doing stuff due to ignorance.
Okay.
With like the 4-tire hose kits and some other products we've come out with, and the PSI Pro compressors. So this is the first product that I've known how big it was, and I wanted to make sure I protect myself because apparently we have competitors that likes to use our products for their own gain. Steal our products. So I got everything patented on this one.
Yeah.
So this one is protected. It is our design. No one else is going to have this in the United States or Australia. And then we'll be looking at extending that into other markets too.
Wow.
So we paid for everything. We came up with 90% of it. So
yeah.
It's been a fun journey. It is all protected now. So now I can really start letting the cat out of the bag and just telling everybody everything about it now, which is really cool.
Yeah. So maybe we'll just do an Air Hub episode when we get them in stock.
Maybe. Yeah. We can probably do that.
Or before.
Yeah.
Maybe. All right.
It'll be fun.
Maybe when you actually, when the first ones show up here today.
The production samples that we're going to be creating all the content off, that's what's showing up today.
Yeah.
So we have the prototypes here in the warehouse, but we don't have the production samples, and those are arriving today.
Sweet. Exciting news.
I'm super excited. But yeah, that's Air Hub. That's our monthly giveaway for this month. Pretty cool stuff. Let's see. What else do we got?
So when are they actually being released?
The goal is July 15th.
Okay.
But I think that's a further out from what we should be able to accomplish.
Got it. So maybe as early in July.
Yeah. I'm hoping last week of June or first week of July. But I'm also trying to practice under promising and over delivering.
Sure.
Right.
Understood.
So,
okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
We'll see.
So the person that wins here in May might have to wait a week or so to get theirs.
June. It might be as
July?
July 15th is when it comes out.
So you're getting in line with everybody else. He probably has even added you.
Yeah.
And so there's probably a placeholder for the winner for this month, but you won't actually receive the product until maybe July 15th.
Right around there is what my guess is.
Okay.
The safe guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man.
Sweet. Well, that's good. What other things do we have to report?
I have a couple of, I guess, quick news items.
Okay. Do you want to do that before we get into the main discussion?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. They're not anything to do with that. So the first one, I fact checked the OJ Simpson claim. It was false.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. It was false. Turns out somebody had put out an image of OJ Simpson's Twitter account that said, "I did it."
Oh,
a couple hours before he passed away. And that's where all of the news reports came from that was saying he confessed to it.
Interesting.
But turns out that image was completely fabricated.
Got it.
So there was no confession, but he did die.
Are you sure?
As far as we know, there is no confession.
No, I mean, are you sure he died?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, it could be like DB Cooper.
Yeah.
We could have an OJ Simpson.
Or Tupac.
Or Tupac, yeah. The Tupac conspiracy theorists are going to come out and join OJ Simpson conspiracy theorists are going to come out and join the Tupac conspiracy theorists.
And they all are with JFK conspiracy theorists. So, they're all good buddies.
Yes. So that's the first one. The first tip of news there. Second tip of news, which is just kind of quick. I thought it was kind of fun. I love the way Ben with Blue Ribbon Coalition has a way of putting things into perspective.
Okay.
Because there's places out there and you'll see people make claims about something and it sounds really bad, but once you put it into perspective, you're like, oh, that's not as bad as what's actually happening right now. Like comparison of what could be happening versus what is happening.
Right.
He did it the other way around.
Okay. What did he do?
There's always the claim that wilderness is a good thing to set up, right? And that wilderness areas are great for humanity and great for the environment because they're wild, right?
Well, they're good for the environment.
Are they though? I mean, we've evolved in this environment too. I would argue at some point we have become a bad part of the environment. But we can also be a very good part of environment.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. We'll just go with yeah.
Okay. Anyways, that's not the point.
Well, I'm not going to argue this.
The point is that there's a claim going on from SUWA, which is the Southern United Wilderness Alliance.
Such great people.
Awesome, beautiful people. That all that they're trying to do with the whole San Rafael Swell. So San Rafael Swell is going the exact same route that Gemini Bridges and the Labyrinth Rims areas went in Moab.
Yeah.
They're doing plan management of looking at current routes and usage and recreational usage of the area and trying to decide if they want to change it up, if they want to get rid of a bunch of miles of routes, if they want to close up a bunch of the area to wilderness area. What do they want to do? Like, are they trying to lock people out of areas? What is the goal here? But they need to take a huge inventory first.
Right.
So they're in the inventorying stage.
When I was at Cruise Moab this year.
And
I was standing in line.
Okay.
And I forgot what happened, how it went. But I said to something to somebody passing by for some reason. I don't remember what the cause was, but I said, "Oh, it's just like all the trails we lost out by Gemini Bridges." And that person's response was, "There was a lot of unused roads. It's probably a good thing we closed them." And I was like, "Wait, what? Where are you now?
What do you know?
Do you understand?
What are you doing here?
Wait, you're here driving on Cruise Moab out in these areas."
Using the roads.
Using these, not those roads, but the roads that we're allowed to use. And you're okay that the roads that we used to be able to drive on are now closed.
Yeah.
Like you're okay with that and you think it's a good thing?
Yeah.
Like, I'm so confused right now with everything. Yeah. But he walked on and I didn't get to talk with him or even argue with him. But I was like, I was so taken back. Like, I'm so like, you drove those roads the other day, didn't you? Like, I mean, or last year. Like, I don't get why you're okay with that.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Wow. And they weren't roads that were not being used.
No, they weren't.
Well, there was a lot of roads that were being used that got shut down. It's not like these are just unused roads that are being reclaimed by the environment.
Correct.
So anyways,
Yeah.
environmental groups are saying we're just trying to level the playing field and make it fair, of usage, make it fair usage for everybody.
Okay. For who?
That's a good question. They don't say that, but the marketing sounds great for it, right?
Yeah.
We're just trying to make it fair for everybody.
Yeah. Fair for the lizards.
Yeah.
They live there all the time. And then us that only gets to visit occasionally.
Mm-hmm. Well,
that's not fair. They're there all the time.
The thing about wilderness area is you can still go in on foot.
Some. Yeah.
Most.
Some wilderness are close to like all that. Everything.
Jeez. And so, there's currently in the area of Rafael Swell, there's 660,000 acres that are already wilderness area.
Wow.
And of all the acreage in the San Rafael area, there's only about 100, well, I don't remember what the number was, 100 to 150,000 acres that's open for motorized recreation.
So about a sixth.
So about a sixth of what's already there for wilderness stuff. But SUA is
wants
saying
to make it fair.
And we're making it fair and leveling it. That's why this plan is going into action.
I think that's a fantastic idea. Yeah. So they're going to open like 300 more, 1,000 more square acres to make it even.
Exactly. So that's Blue Ribbon Coalition's argument here.
Oh, is that what they said?
Yep.
Ben's such a smart guy.
Right? So Ben's like, yeah, absolutely. Let's make it fair. You guys want to make it fair? That's what you're claiming you're standing on right now, the pillar you're standing on. I 1,000% agree with you. Let's make it fair. We need to open up 300,000 more acres to motorized recreation.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's actually pushing that through this legislation and trying to push it through that way. But he's put out a couple of videos recently saying that. And I'm like, yeah,
that's fantastic.
Come on.
I have not seen that video, but I'm glad he came to the same conclusion I did.
Yeah. So there's that. And then the other one, we talked a recent episode about the big win in Southern Idaho, right?
Yes.
Because the off-roading community has come together and started sending in a ton of comments to government agencies when they do stupid stuff like this. It happened again.
Yes.
So this is more proof that if we keep coming together as an off-road community, and we can be a political powerhouse to make sure that we still have vehicular recreational opportunities in the future. What this was about was we put out a call to action about it as well. I think it was the last day to put in, and I commented about how Blue Ribbon Coalition's system was awesome. It pulled up all my representatives within 5 minutes. I had everything submitted. That's what this was about. And so it's a legislation that's trying to work its way through Congress to block the BLM leasing land as quote unquote conservation leases to private entities and organizations. So by doing that, they would be leasing land, and anybody could just go out and lease a 1,000-year lease. I don't know what the years are, but land, and then lock up the land to any usage.
Yeah, exactly. It would be become private property in a way.
It's privatizing public lands is what it comes into.
And they're just buying it so they could write it off as an emissions thing. Like they have all this land that's all green, and even though they're doing bad things on their one plot of land for their business, they have all this other land that's green. So they're offsetting they're
being more carbon
emissions.
neutral.
Yeah. So, which is
cap and trade.
Stupid as well. I need to start a business around that.
Yeah.
But so we want to keep our lands public.
100%.
That's the gist of it.
100%. So there was a lot of theorizing going through that the conservation leases were going to get used to help enact 30 by 30. And a big chunk of 30 by 30 could be done through these conversation leases,
right?
Conservation leases. And so by everybody stepping up and working together and sending in input, we made it not just throughout a committee, but through the House of Representatives. And it's now going into the Senate,
right?
Which is pretty freaking amazing to show what we can do as an off-road community when we stand up together.
Right. So I think BRC is going to be releasing links for the Senate, for your local senators as well.
Good question. I meant to check that.
If they haven't done that yet, I will be trying to get a hold of them to get that information to add it to our show notes. So you can go in and do that as well. And if it's not there now, as soon as we get it, we'll talk about it and we'll add it to our show notes so that you guys can contact your senators.
Yep. Another fun thing.
Oh, another one. All right.
There was a proposal recently. A listener sent me this one. I'm going to see if I can find it real quick, or at least remind me so we can put it in the show notes.
Okay.
There's a proposition coming around right now of a solar company getting land near Joshua Tree.
Got it. Okay.
And the proposal is to rip up and destroy 4,200 Joshua trees in order to put in a solar farm.
Okay. That doesn't sound like it's going to win.
Doesn't. It's actually doing fairly well, because the way that they are offsetting that is they're going to be putting in a
solar farm.
They're putting in a solar farm, but they're going to be paying into a damage mitigation fund pool to pay for the Joshua trees that they're taking out.
And what? Replant them? Put them somewhere?
Nope. They're paying money.
So because they're removing trees, they're going to have to pay money.
Yeah.
And they're putting that into their fund so that the user or the people that are consuming the solar is going to pay for them removing the trees. Essentially, yeah. Yeah.
That's the way it turns. It's a PG&E method, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what it's going to turn into.
So if you're getting solar off of these people, you removed a bunch of trees from Joshua Tree National Forest.
Yep. What I think is amazing about this is, do you remember a few years ago when there was one Joshua tree down with like tire marks around it, and the internet lost its fucking mind saying an off-roader drove over this one Joshua tree?
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
And turns out it was all faked.
Oh, was it? Yeah, I don't remember that.
It was staged. Somebody found a down Joshua tree and drove up on either side of it or something, or drove over it or something. Like, turns out the fact checking came out that it was a faked image.
Okay.
But the internet lost its mind over one off-roader possibly destroying one Joshua tree.
Right.
And yet we have a corporation coming in as a solar farm and destroying 4,200 trees, proposing to do it. And the internet just is, it's
not big news. They're going to get solar. They're going to get green energy.
Yeah.
From removing greenery.
Yeah. So anyways, I just like to point out the irony and hypocrisy behind certain people's actions and their feelings about stuff.
Yes.
Anyways, those are my updates for kind of news points before we get into the discussion today.
Cool. So sounds good. Well, then shall we move into our campfire discussion?
I think we shall. So go ahead and grab your favorite drinks. Grab your favorite mango pineapple Juma juice. And we'll be right on back with today's campfire discussion.
The 4-Wheel Underground website just got an upgrade. Come on by and check out the new functionality, new photos, and new pricing. Finally works on mobile too. Visit 4wheelunderground.com and find your new suspension today.
Oh, welcome back, everybody. We're here today. We are live. My gauge of if life is going well. Am I still breathing?
Yep.
Sweet. We're doing well.
Today you're succeeding.
I'm succeeding at life right now. We got a fun discussion here for you guys today. Jimmy and I have often talked about this between ourselves.
Yeah.
We've talked about it and it always becomes an interesting debate amongst friends. And then we had a good friend recently
go through this
situation of one of the risks of doing one of these options. And we're like, I think we should have a full on discussion about this. See if we can hash it all out. Yeah. Yeah. And so what's kind of sparking all this is our good friend, Rerim, who had an unfortunate incident because Jimmy was around. We've decided as the consistent pattern when things go bad, typically it's because Jimmy's around. Lee rolled his Lexus, destroyed the cab, and is now looking at doing something about it. But the thing is that he doesn't really have a vehicle anymore.
No. Well, he does now.
Well, yeah, he does now. But there was an interim point there where he didn't have a vehicle.
Sure.
So, it begs the question, we as off-roaders, our goal, I don't know about everybody's goal, but a lot of our goal is to go out and have fun with our vehicles. Right.
Yeah.
And we
absolutely.
use our vehicles to get us to some really cool places, some places that not a lot of people get to see in the world, which means that in order to get that exclusivity, for the lack of better term, it's not exclusive because it's cool to be exclusive. It's difficult places to get to.
Yeah.
If it was easier, more people would go there. Right.
Absolutely. I think that, we look at our vehicles as our mode of transportation to be able to get us away from other people.
Yeah, totally.
Right. You said exclusivity, but it's really like we're excluding ourselves out.
Yes, we're excluding ourselves. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. We're not excluding other people. We're trying to exclude ourselves out of society, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so, how do you accomplish this goal of excluding yourself and getting out to these really hard to reach, get to places sometimes, but still be able to come back to life and be able to work your life the way it needs to work, which usually means having a mode of transportation.
Yes.
to get to work, to go get groceries, to run errands with, etc. So, we were kind of wrapped our head around it, and we have a lot of friends that do a lot of different things. And so Jimmy and I think we pretty much see eye to eye on what we like to do. And then there's people like Lee, I think that could be in one category. And then there's people like the Jasons of the world.
Yeah.
I was going to say the Jason Greens of the world, but I was like, Husband does it too. So
yeah, well, but they're both different, and to some small extent. We'll get to that.
Well, okay. I'm curious.
We'll get to the Greens.
Yeah.
Or the Jasons. The Jasons.
Yeah. So, I'm just kind of curious. And it's like, there is a lot of benefits and drawbacks to every one of those situations.
Yeah. And so pretty much what we're talking about, alluding to maybe, since we've been a little vague, is how do you build your rig? Are you building your rig to be an everyday, every purpose use?
An Ultra 4 vehicle?
Well, no, because that's not street legal.
Oh, I see what you...
Well, at least not in California. It might be in other states. Yeah. I think I've seen some videos of ones driving down the road. Uh-huh. But, like you're using it to go pick up the kids. Like, so it has to have more than one seat, right? You're driving it on the road, so it has to be street legal. But you also want to drive it up into the mountains, and you want to go camping, or you want to drive over some rocks, or you want to do a water crossing, or all these things. Like, and do you want that all in one vehicle?
Yeah.
Do you want to have that vehicle, but then also maybe have a daily driver?
Yeah.
Do you want to have a non-street legal vehicle and a tow rig? Is the tow rig your daily driver?
Yeah.
Or do you have a tow rig, a rig that is not street legal, and a daily driver? Like, there's so many different options here.
A lot of different variations, totally.
So we took a quick pause there for a second.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'll do that in the video, but do you want to say why we took a pause?
The production samples came in as we were talking about. So we have one right here. I don't know if I held up to the camera at all, but we have them here. So they're so beautiful.
They look great. They look fantastic.
I'm so happy with how these turned out. So it's July 15.
Yeah.
Is I think a pretty damn safe date. I think we should be able to get them out quicker. So.
Sweet. Exciting for that. So
yeah,
I've literally held one now in my hands.
Yeah.
In person. It's fantastic. It looks outstanding.
The Air Hub, the MORRFlate Air Hub. So back where were we? We were talking about
different types of off-roading / daily drivers is really where we're going here.
Yeah,
right?
How do you handle your vehicle so that you can still go off-roading, but still be able to handle life?
Yeah.
In your daily life stuff.
Right. Because we had our buddy Re-Rim rolled his rig out in Moab.
Due to Jimmy.
But doesn't have a vehicle at home.
Yeah.
Right. Didn't have another vehicle. So I loaned him Clifford for a week so he could take his kids to school. He could go to work. He could go do his normal daily deeds.
Yeah.
But Should he get a daily driver? Should he get another rig that he builds all the way and it's his daily driver, but it's still an off-road rig?
Mm-hmm.
Do you go all the way into one of the Jason's world and just have a buggy and a tow rig and a trailer and a daily driver?
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of different options, right?
What do you want to do?
What do you want to do? So it's kind of cool because we do have a lot of experience with all of these different routes.
Yeah, kind of.
We have a lot of friends that are doing off-roading, and everybody kind of runs their logistics differently. So we can kind of talk about each one and give our input about what we think is the benefits and drawbacks and or negatives or, what's going on with each one of those.
Yeah.
And what are things to think about if you want to go down that route.
Sure. Absolutely.
So.
I think it all starts with your off-road rig is your daily driver.
100%.
I think this is where it all starts.
Uh-huh.
I don't think most people are like, I like off-roading and I have a Toyota Camry.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy a buggy.
Yeah.
Like,
right. Yeah.
It usually doesn't work that way.
No.
Right. It usually goes, I have a Toyota pickup, 4Runner, Jeep, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start building it up so I can go drive a fire road, go drive over It's
usually
curbs.
people starting in a Toyota Camry saying, I want to go outdoors. So they buy a Subaru.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I want to do more off-roading. My 4-wheel drive Subaru can go a lot of places. And they realize it doesn't have lockers or functional differential. I don't want to say functional differentials, off-roading differentials and beefy axle shafts and lower control arms that don't fold under tension.
Yeah, or T cases,
low gearing. So, and then they kind of go on a bunch of trips on their Subaru and they're like, okay, I want something with more capabilities.
Yes.
And then they start looking at, okay, do I want to get a mini truck, a Tacoma, a 4Runner, a Jeep, a Bronco, whatever it is.
All right.
But anyways, I'm being facetious.
Did you have a Subaru?
I personally never did.
Okay. I was like, we got to stop this podcast if that is the case.
No.
Yeah.
That was an MF Orion.
Oh, yeah.
That was MF Orion's story into off-roading was he started with I think a little Focus. No, I don't know. I think he got the Focus afterwards.
Was a Focus.
But he had a Subaru.
Okay.
That he kept trying to take off-roading.
Yeah.
He was like, it did great. And I was like, you can't, but I don't care how much you try and back it up.
Yeah, I went straight into a mini truck.
Yeah.
And have never looked back.
Yeah.
And have almost have the same mini truck to this day.
Wow.
Almost.
I started with a 1989 Toyota pickup. That was my first vehicle, 2-wheel drive. Never did any off-roading with it.
Yeah.
Obvious reasons. But I decided that I wanted to start doing off-roading, and I got a 1998 Ford Ranger that had a really shitty 4x4 actuation system. It was the vacuum system that never stayed in 4x4.
Uh-huh.
And then I got rid of that, and then I was commuting to school a lot, and I ended up with a Ford Focus.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. And then from there, I went from the Ford Focus to the 07 Tacoma. And that was my first real off-roading vehicle.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
And then you went to the first gen 4Runner?
The first gen 4Runner and then Kermit. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
My first vehicle, mine was a 1990 Toyota pickup extra cab V6 3.0.
Okay. So very similar to my 89.
Well, it's like almost identical to Bobcat too.
Yeah, pretty much. Was yours 4x4 though?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So mine was 2.
It was the Black Beauty. Is the one that I have a picture that's jumping?
The one you broke the window on.
Yeah. Well, I didn't break it.
Oh, your passenger.
My passenger, the young lady in my passenger seat hit her head when we landed that jump and hit her head on the window so hard it broke the passenger window. Yeah. So I had that.
Okay.
And I had that into college. My brother also had a 4-door 535 BMW.
Okay.
We took that to college first. My brother and I went to college. I went to junior college for 2 years, and then my brother and I went to college after that. And we took the Beamer first, and we're like, we need a truck. Like, we need a truck down here. We're down in Monterey. We need surfboards. We got to take our surfboards out. We need a truck. The Beamer doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I had the truck for a little while in college, and then I T-boned somebody, but it was their fault.
Mm-hmm.
They were going more or less the wrong way on the road at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
They turned right in front of me, and I T-boned them, and then that took care of Black Beauty. And then I got a hand-me-down from my parents, and I got a like 97 Ford Taurus.
Okay.
With the oval windows.
Sexy.
Super sexy. And
those had some great fans in them, though. Radiator fans.
Yeah.
So
and then I T-boned a minivan.
Okay,
that one was my fault.
Yeah.
And then I bought Bobcat.
Nice.
So, and then later down the road,
pretty much built. I mean, Bobcat was purchased about where it sits today, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'll go with no on that one.
Okay.
It was built, but it was still independent suspension.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It was lifted on 33s, and that was about it.
Okay.
And then I did the solid axle swap. I bobbed the bed. I put it bigger suspension on it. I put bigger tires on it. But
the dual cases
did all that.
Cool.
Yeah, Bobcat was a more or less stock Toyota pickup with their little like independent bracket lift in the front, and then 33s and blocks in the rear.
Was it your daily driver?
And it was my daily driver.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you do the solid axle and lift and everything on it while it was your daily driver?
Yes.
Interesting. How'd you get to and from work and everything while you're doing that?
I did it over a weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
You did it all over a weekend each time you did something.
I don't remember. Yes, but every time I would ever do a major mod, I would do it over the weekend. And I'm pretty sure I was able to get that job done in the weekend, or I didn't have work on Monday, or I could ride my bike. One of the other, like
Memorial Day weekend or
something funky like that.
Okay.
I remember I did it without Hussman. He wasn't there for some reason, and I only had this window of opportunity to do it. And I invited a bunch of my college mates up, and so we got it done rather quickly because there was many hands.
Yeah.
And but there was a few things that weren't welded properly that later came back to bite me in the ass mainly because Hussman wasn't around to check everything.
Yeah. Okay. So how often did it happen where you were out on a trail wheeling, having a good time, and you break something on your daily driver now?
Yeah. So that is really kind of where this goes, right?
Yeah.
And
what do you do when that happens?
Yeah, you got it. Well, whenever I break something or whenever other people break something, I always tell them, fix it with an upgrade.
Yes. Okay.
Right? Don't just put the same thing in because you're probably going to break it again. So put something in better, or put the same thing in and then fix or do something to prevent it from having that problem again. Right. So you're always fixing it with an upgrade. But the thing is, like, okay, you broke your daily driver. Now what are you going to do? I think for me, thankfully, I had family close enough in town that I could bum a car off of if I needed it.
Okay.
But I think a lot of times I would just, I'd just scramble and figure out a way to get to work, or figure out a way to make it drivable just to be able to get to work, or, do the things I needed. But
because this was also before Uber, right?
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Way before Uber.
Yeah.
Yellow taxis everywhere. But yeah, I think that's, so what's the next alternative? You fixed it, you broke it, and now you need to go to work. There's only a few things you can do. But one of the things that can happen, which did happen to me eventually, but I think I eventually got a daily driver because I was really building my rig so it wasn't comfortable on the road anymore. Like, it's a fantastic off-road driver, but you build your rig in a way to be a good off-roader. Yeah. You're not building your rig to be an excellent on-road driving and do okay off-road.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe some people do that, but usually we're building it to do outstanding off-road and be able to barely make it to the trail. Yeah. Like before your hearing aids go out or whatever, like
you need a new spleen.
Yeah. Spleen. Our goal is to do good off-road and be able to make it to the trail on road.
So at what point does that start happening? Is that different for each person, or
I think so.
because Benji, let's talk about Benji real quick.
Okay.
We can do that because he's not here to defend himself.
Sure. Or Lee.
Or Lee, or Jake. Jake, our employee, Jake, does the same thing. He daily drives his off-roader. In my opinion, for me, it was where I got to the point where I knew I wanted to do harder stuff, but I was holding back because I was afraid of breaking the vehicle, not having the vehicle for my daily life.
Yeah.
And so I could tell that my enjoyment while out on off-roading or camping trips, something was being diminished. I was getting FOMO because other people were going doing stuff that I was like, I really want to do that, but I'm a puss. I don't want to break the vehicle and not have a vehicle anymore.
What's that sticker that says, remember, you've got to drive this home?
Yes. Remember, stupid, you got to drive this home.
Yeah.
So that's where I got to. I got to that point and I was like, this kind of sucks. Like, I'm not necessarily bored out here, but it's now harming my mental health.
Yeah.
Not to that extent. I'm being facetious, but I was like, man, I want to do more, but I'm afraid to do more. And that's when I made the realization that I really need to get a second vehicle.
Yeah.
I need to do something different.
See, I was trying to rack my brain here while you were talking, and it's like, I broke things. And I think everybody breaks things, but I don't remember having like a catastrophic break that I had to get like towed out and my vehicle like wouldn't run and I had to call friends to get their tow rigs up to me. I mean, that probably happened, but I just don't remember it. So there's like, I think all in all, I've played it safer, like what you're saying, because I knew that I had to drive it.
Just because you got to drive it home.
Yeah, and drive it around.
Okay.
But I also had Jason or Hussman around.
Yeah.
And
you had very capable people who knew how to fix things.
Well, that I was going to go with more of, we built it well.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I didn't do a lot of stupid stuff. Right. So there was, I built it well, so it wasn't breaking, and I wasn't doing stupid stuff, so I didn't have a lot of problems. And so I think it kind of got to what you were saying was a good point. It got to the point where it was like, it's not fun to drive on the road. Like, and I just bought, I think I just bought the old Goodyear MTRs, and they were a chunk of money out of my pocket that I barely had, and I'm like, I'm driving, miles on these things every single day.
Yeah.
And I'm just wearing them away, and I'm not going to get to use them in off-roading as much as I have them. It's like, should I buy street tires and mud drains? Like, now that this is my daily driver, that maybe is the actual next step. There's before you get a daily driver.
Maybe
it's like, I got street tires for my daily driving truck, off-road truck that are, the 29s with, and slicks or whatever. But
like the Gladiator.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I think that there's a point at which your rig is way overbuilt for the road.
Yeah.
And it's not, either is not safe to drive on the road or it's not comfortable to drive on the road.
Okay.
I would say it's still reliable because you're going to take it off roading when your vehicle better be reliable if you're going to take it into the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
And I think there's
that
a level.
Doesn't always apply to some people.
That's what I was saying. I was hoping.
Yeah.
And the flip side is, and if you want to continue to try harder and harder lines, that you're probably eventually going to have a problem and break. So now you've got to decide what are you going to do when that problem
you still got to get home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good point. Cause, it's not a matter of comfortability driving Kermit in the 4Runner. I love driving Kermit.
Yeah.
But I also, I don't know if I'd be able to drive Bobcat though.
Okay.
As like a daily driver.
Why? What's the difference?
I think mainly the air conditioning and the stereos and the tinted windows. Like, I don't know. I just, but those
are all trivial things to fix.
Those are, in the grand scheme of things, you could totally, if Bobcat was set up with those, I could daily Bobcat. I don't think it'd be an issue. But for me, it wasn't about the comfortability. It was just, I wanted to try more difficult stuff and I was afraid to.
Okay.
And so I think, and I look at other people out there that are in my off-roading clubs and other places. Lee, I'm like, Lee, has come a long way in terms of his capabilities as an off-roader. And I think that especially on every trip I've been on with him, he keeps trying bigger and bigger things.
Yeah. Absolutely. He follows us.
I know. Yes.
Which I'm like, and he makes it.
He tried Lee Hill. I still won't try Lee Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's tried Soup Bowl.
He tried Soup Bowl. Yeah.
But he didn't make it, but
but he still tried it. I mean, so like, I'm looking at it, and every time I watch Lee do stuff, I'm like, that is badass. But then I'm also like, please don't break. You need to get your kids to school still. Like,
you've got to get home.
But so like somebody in Lee's situation, at what point do you continue building the daily driver? And what point do you just be like, I think I'm ready to get a dedicated wheeler?
I don't know when that moment is.
I don't know either. Yeah.
I would say Lee's there. I think this is a fantastic example of when you should be like, I have an overland rig that I like to take and do extreme things with, but I'm going to have a cheap little Toyota Corolla or Prius or something small that's commutes. And that's going to be my daily driver. And that's going to be the thing I take the kids to school in or go to work in or something basic, because I enjoy driving my off-road rig on long overland trips.
Yeah.
And I'd rather save the mileage for the overland trips, or I'd rather beat my rig against a rock while I'm off-roading and then have a comfortable, easy commuter car to take the kids to school in.
Yeah. Yeah. And which I think is where kind of you and I are at. I think we're half a step beyond that right now.
Well, I think you finally caught up.
I think yes. But like, I don't know. So that comes into, you have now a dedicated wheeler and a dedicated daily driver, and you could still drive your wheeler as a daily driver when it's functioning and working well, which hopefully most of the time it is. But you have that safety plan now that allows you to go and use your wheeler as more of a dedicated wheeler.
Yeah. It really is sort of
it opens up some doors and opportunities for you.
Yeah.
Knowing that you're still going to have a vehicle to do daily life with when you get back home.
Right. It is. There's a layer of a safety net there, right? It's like, if I do break this, I have to figure out how to get it home, but I don't have to figure out how to get it working by the next day I can take my kids out, right? Exactly. It's like, I just have to figure out how to get it home.
Yes.
And then I can figure out what needs to get fixed within the next week or month or whatever it turns out to be.
Yep.
So I think that I really still do like the fact that my off-road rig could be a daily driver, is street legal.
Yep.
I like that fact. And I like to be able to drive it on the road sometimes. There's time like the Sully Bun event. Like, I didn't take Bobcat out there because it was just a nasty day.
Yeah.
But I can drive it out to to Prairie City. No problem. I drive it up to the Rubicon. No problem. It's like, I can drive it multiple hours. When Lee broke down in Moab, one of the conversations that was having was, would Bobcat make it home?
Yeah. I think it would.
I think it definitely would too.
Yeah.
And I would be like, yeah, we're going to throw the white whale on the trailer with Clifford and we'll drive Bobcat back from Moab. Like, is it going to be a fun thing? No, probably not. Will we rotate drivers out in there?
Yes.
Yeah, we probably will, but will it be able to do it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. Probably wouldn't be happy.
Yeah.
But it that might have to check, some of the suspension nuts and bolts halfway down the road.
Yeah.
But is it possible? Yes.
Totally possible.
And that on its own hand is another backup, right?
Yeah, true.
To some level. It's like, if your daily driver breaks down, now you've got your off-road rig that you can take the kids to school.
What happened, was it last year coming back from Moab? Clifford broke down and you drove Bobcat to get parts.
It was 2 years, 3 years. It was 19 or whatever that was.
Yeah. Your 2 week trip back from Moab.
Yeah. Clifford broke down on the side of the road and I unloaded Bobcat so I could drive it into town to go get more parts.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I like having my off-road rig still street legal.
I 100% agree with that. I love universality and utility. So being able to make things having more utilization out of something, I'm a big fan of.
Right.
So, I agree.
I also don't like, I don't like driving my off-road rig every single day.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't like, when I was younger, it was a necessity. Like I had to do it. It was my only vehicle. But here I am later in life. I've got a little bit more money, less money now than when I had then. But when I was working when I was corporate James, as the assistant puts it. But I had my daily driver then, which was a Honda Civic at that time. And that was a fantastic little commuter car. And got great gas mileage. I put a subwoofer in it. And it was fantastic, and it was nice to have the fallback plan of like, if one of these breaks, I can drive one or the other. If I break down on the trail, I can use my commuter car to get to school or to get to work in this case. Right. And if my commuter car needs to go into the shop for some random reason, I can take my off-road rig to get to work. Like it was nice to be able to have an extra car. And I think some people will kind of look at their wife, or maybe they have parents nearby, like I did when I was younger, that kind of covers that. But I think you also, once you get later in life and, you need to cover your own actions, right?
Accept responsibility for your own, what you want to do in life. Totally. So for me, it was, I don't want to drive Kermit every day just because I don't want to wear out the tires. That's like my biggest concern. I'm like, I don't want to drive Kermit because I don't want to wear out the tires. I love driving him, but I don't want to have to buy new tires right away. I like these tires. So at what point though now, so like, what's the next step then? Do you leave it there? Because right now our weak link is getting back home. Right. I guess that would be the weak link. So how likely are you to have a catastrophic failure that you now are having troubles getting back home?
I mean, it depends on how hard you wheel.
But that's a good point.
Continuously using Lee as an example.
We love you, Lee.
Thank
you for being an example.
We are 800, almost maybe we're around 800 miles away from home. So
at Moab.
We were out in Moab, and we live here in Sacramento, California.
I was like, I'm like 7 miles from home.
Well, sure. When Lee broke in Moab, he was about 900 miles away from home. Right.
That's right. Yep.
And because he lives another 100 miles past us, and I think we're roughly 800. So he even if you pay for the big AAA package, I think it only goes 100 miles.
200 is the max.
200 is the max. So no matter what, it's like you're not getting home with AAA.
No,
like there's no tow service that's going to tow you that you automatically subscribe to. There are tow services out there, so you could be like, "Hey, I need my rig taken back to California. Help me."
Somebody had that happen to them recently in Arizona. Their rig broke down in Arizona, and they live in SoCal. They had to get a tow company to tow the vehicle back to SoCal. It was $3,500.
Damn.
Yeah.
I undercharged.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, I carried a person back. I carried Lee. So, I mean, the weak link is getting back home. Like, if you're, if you're 25, 30, 50 miles away from your house, you can call a buddy. You can have a friend that has a truck and a trailer. You can call a buddy. You can, get a ride home and get your own truck and trailer, right? And then get back there to pick up your rig. But so the next step would be truck and trailer. To some extent. So you've got
flat towing. Depending on the tow vehicle.
I think the baby step of that would be no trailer, flat tow your rig.
Okay.
I would say that's probably, before a trailer, because a trailer is another added expense. First, you're going to need a truck. And that will be able to tow, your vehicle and then once you have a truck, then you're going to get a trailer probably eventually. So flat tow would probably be next, then trailer would be that. But then the next question is, so is your tow rig your daily driver?
It's a good question, right?
What do you want it to
do? Do you sell your daily driver and now combine your tow rig as your daily driver? And I think that's fine.
I think that's the next progression, because now, if you end up going like, okay, I've got a tow rig and my crawler and a daily driver, It's like,
That's a lot of space.
That's
And a trailer.
well, and then you get a trailer. That's just a lot of space taken up in front of your house.
Yeah.
Or it's a lot of vehicles. It's a lot of insurance, a lot of registrations.
Yeah.
It's just its own headache. So I think the easiest answer is, my tow rig just becomes my daily driver.
Yep. Which is where I was with the F-150.
Yes.
So the F-150 was my daily driver, and it was also the tow vehicle when I needed a tow vehicle.
It's where you are now.
I guess. I mean, I've been driving the Bronco around a lot more right now as the daily driver. I guess technically it's the wife's. That's the wife's car, though. I keep stealing the wife's car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, my truck is the tow rig. And
typically, your tow rig, your F-350, is your daily driver.
It is. Yeah, you're right.
So, and then you have a trailer, and then you have Kermit, which is still street legal. But I would say especially if you're going to Moab, we're going to tow. Yeah. Primarily for the reason of, if I break,
I need to get back home. Yes.
And I can get myself back home.
Yeah.
And that is the biggest joy of having a truck and trailer. It's like, you no longer need to worry about, how am I going to get this home? The answer, or the question is, how am I going to get this to the trailhead?
Yes.
Because once it gets to the trailhead, I can get it home.
Exactly.
So it really does relieve some stress on, the carnage and breaking of when all that happens. Because I mean, if you think about it originally, where we started this conversation, my off-road rig is my daily driver. If I break, the question was, how am I going to get this to the trailhead, then get it home, then fix it so I can take it to work
the next day.
Yeah. Right. And now we're to the point in this progression of, how do I get this to the trailhead? And I don't have to worry about anything else.
Yeah.
Because I have a daily driver. I have a way to get me to work. I have a way to get the rig home. So now the only thing is, how do I get it off the trail? Yeah. And I mean, there's no other vehicle that in our list that's going to answer that, except for, hopefully you're wheeling with a buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's nothing yet that you can just deploy and tow yourself off of a trail that you can bring with you on the trail. So,
right.
Friends. I mean, I guess in theory, if your engine's still running, you could winch yourself all the way off of a trail, but that's you can blow up your winch.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to kind of look at that. And then, I mean, so then there's another, I don't know if it's a step further, how it would be done, but like, now you're talking about trailering your street legal vehicle versus trailering a non-street legal vehicle. So now is it a step backwards because you have less utility by having a buggy and you can't?
I think it's just a level of necessity, I guess. I don't know what a better word would be. I mean, do you want your rig to be street legal, or do you just want to drive the wildest, craziest lines? It's, I think there's just a level there. Yeah.
I guess if you have a non-street legal vehicle, so you have a buggy on a trailer and your tow rig is your daily driver. What happens if your daily driver is down or your tow rig is down? Then now you don't have work and you can't get your vehicle, your buggy off the trail.
Yeah. Or you can't get to the trail and you can't get to work.
Yeah. So it's almost at that point, in order to have the most security, you would need to have your daily driver and your tow rig separate from each other.
Yeah. Or
you
have
two tow rigs.
Yeah. Or two tow rigs. Or your tow rig. You have your tow rig and a daily driver.
Yeah.
Off-road rig.
Yeah.
Right. I do think there's a level of, you need two street legal vehicles.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether it's your off-road rig is one of your street legal vehicles, or you have a daily driver and a tow rig.
Yeah.
I think there's sort of a level of that.
Yeah.
Now, does your tow rig, what am I trying to say? If you have a tow rig and a street legal vehicle, I don't think your tow rig's going to break down very often.
Hopefully not.
Right. So then you're
unless you have a Dodge. I see those on the side of the freeway all the time.
Yeah. I think that the only concern, I guess, is what I'm trying to get to is, if you have a buggy that's not street legal and you, for some reason, are out at the trailhead and your tow rig breaks, you don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I guess.
And vice versa, which I kind of said earlier. If you're supposed to go off-roading and you're at home and your tow rig is broken or at the shop,
Yeah, you can't go
you
off-roading.
can't
there,
go
get to the
off-roading.
trails.
You can't
Yeah.
get to the trailhead.
Yeah.
But almost all the other circumstances with, if you have another vehicle,
Mm-hmm.
then, you can get yourself to work,
Yeah.
which is sort of the answer there.
Yeah.
I think you need
Ultimately, you still need to be able to get back to work because you need to get money to pay for the broken vehicles.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of this comes down
Yeah.
to. Whether work is school or work is work, or
Mhm.
you have to get back to your daily responsibilities.
Yeah.
Off-roading's a fun hobby.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle for a lot of people. It's a hobby for a lot of people, but it's not what keeps you alive.
Get out of this recording studio right now, Jimmy.
Well, you have to work to keep yourself alive.
It's true.
But,
I don't know. We talked about setting up a homeless encampment in Fresno
Yeah,
or Clovis.
that's
so
true.
we could just do that for a year.
So I think that there's a lot of good options out there. And I don't know if it's like with age comes a cage sort of scenario, with like, oh, you're getting older now it's time to upgrade from your daily driver to actually getting or your daily driver off-road rig to actually getting a daily driver. It's like, I think there's a level, that's true to some level.
Is it, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. But I did. Is it a matter of a risk assessment? So as we get older, we take less risks, or are we better at mitigating risks as we get older? Because I think back to when I'm younger, I was like, I totally off-road my daily driven vehicle. Is it ignorance, or is it just we're okay of accepting more risk? Are we not aware of risk?
Yeah. Well, I would also, my argument against that would be, well, the fact that we are mitigating the risk by having a daily driver or a tow rig means we can take more risks with our off-road vehicle.
True. Yes.
So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question, right?
Yeah, you're mitigating one side, but you're also allowing the door to open on the other.
Yeah,
so
true.
I don't know if it means we're one or the other. I just think that a lot of things come down to your responsibilities in life.
Yeah,
and money.
Yeah.
Right. If you don't have an immense amount of money or don't have money, there's no way you're going to be able to afford two vehicles.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. So you're going to have one vehicle
and
you're going to be able to do or try to go and do everything you can in that one vehicle.
Yeah.
Because it's the only one you have.
Yeah. The only way to make it happen.
I think there's a level of maturity. I think there's a level of financial and there's, so maybe some risk assessment in the mix of that. But I do it's like when you are a child, there's no way, and I'm saying child like 18-year-old.
Okay, I was gonna say I'm still a child.
Yeah, right. There's no way you're gonna have two vehicles.
Yeah.
So you just got to think about at what point in your off-roading career are you gonna have two vehicles? Because it
makes sense for you.
Kind of comes comes true for almost any off-roader I see. I don't know many off-roaders, maybe overlanders, that just only have one vehicle.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because we're in the rock crawling community.
Maybe. Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Maybe it is just because this is our frame of reference, which we've talked about before.
Yeah.
We definitely speak about off-roading in the frame of rock crawling because that's our frame of reference, our perspective. I'm curious, are there a lot of I'm not big into the overlanding communities. So are there a bunch of overlanders out there that only have one vehicle, or do they also have multiple vehicles for their overlanding adventures versus daily life?
Yeah. And what I find interesting about, in that regards with overlanding, it's like they put so much money on the gear inside of their vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And then you're driving it around on a daily and you're just having it out there. It's like, no.
Yeah.
And or do you unload the whole thing at the end of the day, so that if your rig does get broken into, it's empty.
Yeah.
Right. So to me, it's like, man, I would have two vehicles.
Yeah.
I'd have a little commuter car.
But that reason is a different reason from breaking it or not getting it back home or anything. That's because of all the money put into the gear that could get stolen.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, and yes, primarily. I mean, that's what but see, and I view overlanders as not doing
pretentious ass. No, I'm just kidding.
Plead the fifth. I view they're not doing extreme off-roading.
Yeah.
They're doing fire roads. They're having fun. You know, like I've been watching Benji's content and he's literally been tearing apart the front end of his 4Runner.
Oh, cool.
Right. Because he's having an issue up there and he's like, I hope, does he have another rig?
Yeah.
Like he literally has been having problems with the front end of his vehicle. So geez. Is that his only driver? Is that his daily? Is that what other vehicles does he have? I'm fairly certain I know he has another vehicle. So I think there's a level, like, I think there's also a side that if you're overlanding, you want to try and keep the vehicle young and healthy. And so by not daily driving it, you're putting less miles and less stress on it.
Okay. Yeah.
And so then when you take it out on your trips, it's, it's newer, it's fresher, and it's more reliable to some small extent. I don't know. Yeah,
I think that's a good point too. So I'm curious. Anybody out there, what are your guys' views and opinions on it? Because I know Jimmy and I I think we see eye to eye on utility and being able to have a lot of options available to solve a problem if a problem arises.
Yes.
But what are your guys', how do you make a decision when it comes to this topic? And what do you do? Do you do something different that we haven't even talked about?
Yeah.
Like Pfeiffer, Dave Pfeiffer. I mean, technically he doesn't have a trailer. He's got a flatbed truck.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but that's also not his daily.
It's also, it's true. It's not his daily. So yeah, I don't know. It's there's so many different ways to kind of accomplish this stuff. So I'm curious, give us a call. We want to talk about it on the snail mail episodes more.
Yeah, absolutely.
916-345-4744 is that phone number if you guys want to call in and tell us.
All right. Excellent. So what's the difference of the Jasons? Did you catch it yet?
One of them is their tow rig is their daily driver. The other one is their tow rig is not their daily driver. That'd be my guess.
Nope.
Oh, what is it?
Well, because Hustle Nuts has a Tundra, Andy has an Accord. But Jason Green has an F350.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have a daily driver.
Yeah.
That is his tow rig is his daily driver.
Yeah. I think that's what I said.
Right.
That's what I meant to say. Okay. Sorry if I didn't say it that way.
But also Verde has a street legal off-road rig.
That's true. He does.
Yeah.
His Jeep is. Yeah.
Where they both have buggies. They both have tow rigs. Jason Green has a
street legal
off-road rig, and Jason Hussman has a daily driver Honda Accord. Yeah. So they are a little different.
Yeah.
But they are still kind of the same.
Yeah.
They're both Jasons.
They're both weird guys. So, all right, that does it for this episode. Hopefully it was a fun topic for you guys. Gets the juices flowing on different ways to handle vehicles and getting back to daily life when we're doing the things we're doing with vehicles. So, hopefully it'll stir up some conversation with you and your buddies. Hopefully you guys can call in and give us some conversation. It'd be fun. Yeah, if you guys want to reach out and give us some feedback on the grams, emails, Facebook, irate4x4, a few different places out there to do that at. That you guys should know how to get a hold of us on by now, episode 502. That's all I got. Jimmy, final words for everybody?
What if your daily driver is also your off-road rig, but you have a tow rig and then you have another off-road rig? Like, where do I fall?
That's a good question. And then there's people like Kevin Jones who their tow rig is their off-road rig as well.
Yeah.
With that, my friends, keep crawling.
I got one for you.
Yes.
What is the best way to burn 1,000 calories?
Light it on fire?
Kind of close. Leave the pizza in the oven.
Okay. You can never leave a pizza in the oven.
No?
No. Always finish a pizza.
Yeah.
Never.
But if you want to burn
you
1,000
burn
calories,
a pizza,
you
Jimmy,
just leave it in the oven.
Jimmy,
How do you work out?
How do you burn 1,000 calories? You oh god, what
you
are those
eat
called?
a pizza and then you do CrossFit.
No. What are those called? The Alaskan flaming cake things? It's essentially marshmallow topper on it, and you light it on fire.
Oh.
And then it creates this caramelized crust.
Flaming Alaska.
I think it's called Flamin' Alaska.
Is that what it is?
God, you're gonna make me look this shit up now.
There's the Alaskan, there's a famous cruise ship Alaskan dish. It might be that.
Flaming cake. What? Flaming fake? No, that's not what I want. Flaming cake. Baked Alaska flambe. That's what I'm thinking of. That's the best way to burn 1,000 calories. Oh, that's probably like 3,000 calories.
Yeah. There is a thing on cruise ships called the Baked Alaska or something like that.
Baked Alaska cupcakes.
Yeah.
Flaming baked. I think it's essentially a baked Alaska
really
is like anything that is like a whipped cream top. I don't even know what is that they're using.
I think it's, yeah.
Big loud layered ice cream and sweet meringue. That's what it is. So they take meringue and light it on fire to create a caramelized crust to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good, by the way.
It is. I agree.